Watch this. You've maybe heard of the API, maybe you've even watched videos on it, or even tried it. An app that does the digital humping and dumping for us? Yes, please. But until you've seen how people actually use it, you might be struggling to see how it's going to work for you. So in this video, I'm going to show you one of the ways that I use the API every single day to do my humping and dumping, and I'll show you how to set it up so it can perform the same function for you. Welcome to Notion for Teachers. I'm Andrew, and it's my mission with this channel to support you in building and maintaining your system in Notion. Hit subscribe and the bell icon and you'll be notified when I'm dropping new videos every single week. Firstly though, what is the API? For months in all the forums, we were hearing that Notion weren't building out other bits of their Notion platform because they were working on the API. I didn't even know what that means, so I had to look it up. The API stands for Application Programming Interface. Effectively, it's where Notion opens up its software to allow other apps and programs and platforms to integrate with it, talk to it, share information, and do all this digital workload for us so that we're not there dragging files, dragging information, doing a lot of the processing. The API and Notion and the digital mastery of this system does a lot of it for us. Yes, so what they meant on the forums was that Notion was preparing the code to allow Notion to speak to other platforms such as Google Sheets, such as Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook, and lots of others. And once we go into it, I'll show you a little bit of some of the options that are available in there. It's almost unlimited. Sounds great, right? So we can keep using our old systems where they do the job better, and the example for that is email. Notion's never been designed to send or receive emails. Microsoft Outlook, Gmail does that perfectly well. However, once those emails are sent or received, we do then want to bring those into our Notion system so that we can more suitably process them, because that Outlook and Gmail were never designed to properly process emails, and if we're doing all of our processing in there, then we're not being as efficient with our time and our energy as we could be. So we use those emails, we use the API to move the emails into our Notion system where we can properly prioritize and allocate time to those tasks and get them done with 100% focus and productivity. So how does the API work? Well, I've talked about it a little bit, but it works through an intermediary app. On one end, we've got Notion. On the other end, we've got our Google Sheets or Google Calendar or Outlook or whatever it is. And we have an intermediary app that sits between Notion and the third-party app. And the one I use, the intermediary app that I use, is called Automate, but there are other options such as Zapier or IFTTT that you may have heard of. People are using those. They're perfectly suitable for different needs. For me, I looked at all the options and I chose Automate, and it's working incredibly well for me so far. So before we jump on the computer and look at Notion and Automate and Google Docs, I will just talk a little bit about how we go into Automate and we give it permission to talk to our Notion, and we give it permission to talk to Google Docs or whatever the third-party app is. And then we go on and build these things called bots. In Automate, they're called bots. And the bot is the app that we build using the Automate system to do all that legwork, to do the lifting and shifting and all the useful stuff that Automate is able to do for us. Now, there are three main ways that I use Automate to do a lot of this work for me using the API. One of them is, so when I create a new calendar event in Gmail, that creates a database item in my tasks so that I can then view my calendar appointments in my task manager in Notion. Separately from that, when I get certain emails in, I have a task that I need to do and I can't do it quickly while I'm sat in my emails, it's going to take a bit longer. I move that into my Notion task manager, because there I can be more focused and prioritize about that task amongst all the others. And finally, and the one that I'm going to talk to you about today is that whenever I get a new resource and I drop a new resource into my Google Docs, I want that resource to be correctly catalogued in my Notion resources database. And that's the one I'm going to show you today, how we can bring a new resource into our Google Docs and create a new item. And the API creates a new item in our Notion resources database. So let's jump into Notion right now, jump into Automate, and I will show you exactly how this is set up. Okay, here we are on automate.io, and I'm going to sign in with Google. Okay, sign in with my normal Google account. You may have to create your own account. I'm going to sign in with this. Okay, and here's the automate.io homepage dashboard. Okay, here we can see that I currently have 3 of my 5. So on the basic plan with Automate, you're allowed up to 5 bots. I'm using 3 of my 5, and you're allowed up to 300 actions per month. I've used 55 actions so far, and my quota resets in 24 days. Okay, so let's go in and have a look at the setup of the bots. Okay, so I told you that when I create a calendar appointment, it adds an item to a database, and that's what this one is for. And then this one creates a task from Outlook if I drop an email into a certain folder, and I'll go through those in separate videos. But the one I want to show you today is using a document from Google Drive into my new resource, my resources folder. Okay, in connecting Automate to my Google Drive, I have then been able to go in here and select which folder from my Google Drive I want Automate to monitor for any activity, and whenever any of that activity happens, to take the action. So Automate calls that a trigger and action. So the trigger is that I drop a new document into my resources folder in Google Drive, and the action is that Automate adds a new database item into a particular database in my Notion workspace. Okay, so these are the options that we are given in Automate. We just select the folder that we want, and the rest of it is just the options that are available to us. We don't have to use them all, and I'll show you which ones I have used. And then I come across onto the action panel here, Notion add database item. There are different things that we could tell Automate to do, but I want a new item in my database. And it wants to be my resources database, so I click on resources. So I've selected my resources, that's the name of one of my databases. Okay, and Automate pulls that information, pulls the options into Automate. So that's my database is my resources database. And for my content heading option, I go across the file title, drag this across in there. And then for file description, I've gone down and dropped that into paragraph option. I'll leave the strand empty. I come down here and we go file, web, content link, drag that into link, so that then when the item's created in my Notion resources database, I'll be able to link back to the item in Google Drive or Google Docs. Okay, year groups, that is one of the options in the database, but I need to be able to select that on a resource by resource database. I don't want Automate to automatically select the year groups, because there's no way because I'm dropping different resources for different year groups into Google Drive. I'm going to have to go in there and manually select that. Same with AJA rating, same with topic, same with type. But the name of it, that's going to be file title again. We drop the file title in there so that it's named correctly in Automate or in Notion. Then I click save. Okay, and now it wants us to test that bot using live data. Okay, so as I did before, I will come in here, I will upload a file. I just need to pick any file here, so I'll choose that scan. It really doesn't matter for demonstration purposes. I'm going to pick that scan. That scan is now uploaded into Google Drive, which is great. And I'm going to come in here, back into my Automate window, click I'm done. And now Automate is checking for a new folder, new file in the folder. and Automate is telling me that congratulations, your bot's all good, the bot has worked. So let's go in and have a quick look in our Notion resources database and see if that scanned item is there. Okay, so here we are in the resources database, and there's my document uploaded into that resources database straight away. Fantastic. All right, and I can come in here, and as I showed you on the video last week, I can upload an image. I can come along here very quickly now, assign it to the topic, the high level topic. So it's that says inequalities. I'm a math teacher, so that's my topics database. It's got lots of inequalities topics. Notion is just running a little slow. So there's the high level topic, brilliant. And subtopic is inequalities there. Okay, and then when I come into this topic, there is that resource, my scan document, not named very usefully today, but just for demonstration purposes, there's my scan document in there as a resource in that topic. Fantastic, which I can then assign to a particular period in my planner. We're teaching that topic today. Okay, I'm in that lesson today. I can come in here. Right, within that lesson, let's go in, look for linear inequalities. That's the topic we're teaching. And there is that resource nicely linked in there straight away, not heading off into my document, my Microsoft files or anything. Okay, so that's your Notion API setup using Automate to automate this process of dropping a new resource into our Google Docs, and that resource then creates an item in your Notion resources database, which you can then link to the correct topics. And that means whenever you're planning your topics, you're planning your lessons using your teaching planner, those resources are all nicely linked in there. You're not having to go off into like your Microsoft folder structure to try and find that doc or that document or that resource somewhere else. It's all nicely contained in the one place in Notion. I hope that's been super useful. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit subscribe and the bell icon, and you'll be notified when I'm dropping new videos every single week. You've been watching Andrew. This is Notion for Teachers. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you again soon.